and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line and make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease. And we are going to create universal childcare at no cost to parents, so New Yorkers can raise their family in the city they love. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast, and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal...
Oh, God. Oh, you know what's so funny, y'all, is that they throw the word free around, like free, you know, and it's like, it's in America, there is nothing free. You know, the money comes from us. It comes from us, right? And in this video, there are some very wealthy people, and then I have some regular people that don't like this at all. So let's get into the socialist. I believe he's going to be the next mayor of New York.
And today, the candidates were out talking to voters and taking aim at the Democratic frontrunner. Just 16 days separate New York City from its newly elected mayor, and the candidates are taking advantage of every remaining second on the campaign trail, convincing voters they're the person for the job. And fresh new attacks on their opponents, Andrew Cuomo referencing this photo posted on X, picturing Zohran Mamdani next to controversial New York religious leader Imam Siraj Wahhaj.
Mr. Wahhaj was an unindicted co-conspirator in the 93 World Trade Center bombing. What is your problem with condemning terrorism?
Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. It's amazing because I doubt he even knows that because he's like 31 years old. You know, he doesn't know that. He's a very young man, y'all. He's younger than me. You know what I'm saying? I doubt he knows that, man. Sorry, man.
It is the easiest thing.
So this is where it gets good.
Description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment right now. It's not description of what we see right now. That is just a description.
You are bringing race.
All right. So my bad for the going back. Right. This right here is kind of sees why people don't like this man. If you are Caucasian, right, he wants more money from you. Throw the clip.
Proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
Jeez Louise, bro. This I don't know why people, you know, especially Caucasian, are voting for this dude. And he's clearly telling you, like, if you have money, we're gonna be deep into your pockets. I'm gonna say this too, right? When you do hit a different tax bracket, the government is not fair. They take so much money, like you get taxed more each paycheck, right? And at the end of the year, you owe. So I don't know why people are like satiated by him saying free when we know free means you're going to take more money out of our paychecks, you know.
Pull for Zohran Mamdani's campaign, driving Gen Z with hopes and dreams of free stuff, driving them to the polls. But like most of us, we learned at a young age, there's no such thing as free. Somebody else has to pay for it. And as the saying goes, the problem with socialism.
So I was telling you about these very rich people. You already know this person because he's on Shark Tank. And they're going to go into development, right? Because one of the big issues in New York is housing. There's not enough housing, not enough affordable housing. And this is a billionaire talking about investing in New York. And he's like, I don't know if I want to do that, because I don't know if you're saying you're just spewing rhetoric to get people riled up, or are you really serious about a freeze on rent? Like, which is insane, considering if you're an individual person, you just happen to own land or property and you have tenants. Telling someone they can't raise their rent when owning a building costs a lot of money to maintain and keep up, you know, leaks, fixing things around, you know, and every year the rent goes up all around your city, right? And so it's really crazy that, you know, someone can tell you this, and it's like, first of all, you don't know how much it costs to maintain a building because you're 31 years old. I hate to age shame the dude, but he doesn't know anything, right? But let's get into this billionaire. He's gonna rip him to shreds, bro.
That eventually you run out of other people's money. It's exactly what mom and pop landlords are worried about. Mamdani's housing policy could destroy their businesses and dry up all the funds. Small landlords are already reeling from higher inflation, steeper mortgage rates, not being able to raise rents to keep up with rising costs, maybe the nail in the coffin. That means no money for renovations, improvements, or expansion. It will also make it nearly impossible for owners to sell in this city. Kevin, this will fall on deaf ears, these cries for please don't.
So pragmatically, I and others who invest in real estate have tried to get a meeting to figure out what's rhetoric and what's policy. So far for me, it's been crickets. I think it's a mistake on his part. I'm a rational person. I'm only interested in one thing, and I think he has to address this. I get it what he's doing on the rhetoric, everything for free and rents don't go up. What happens on new builds? We need to build a new building. So let's say we need 20% more affordable housing. Love to invest in that. So we go to the debt and we go to the equity markets to do that. So my simple question to him is, look, I understand what you're trying to do, and you got to get elected, but tell me how you're going to do this. I got to put $50 million into a building to build it, just to get it going. And the market's going to want probably somewhere between an 8 and 11% return on the construction financing. And then when I stabilize it, they'll be happy with 7-8% return. You're telling me I have to have frozen rent rates, even going into 3% inflation. How am I going to be able to raise any money for a new build? Not just me, anybody. How can anybody, including you, by the way, you Mr. Free for Everything guy, how are you going to get that money out of the market when the return is negative? Now, what is the answer to that? Because people should ask themselves, how are we going to get a new building to live in or to have an office in or a store in the city of New York, which is in itself a country, when there's a zero return policy, a negative return policy on capital? Now, that's what's going on here. So if you're thinking of voting for this guy, you're going to continue to live in rat holes as they deteriorate. But worse, there'll be no new builds.
Right.
Zero.
Yeah.
So I think he should, maybe not me, doesn't want to talk to me, no problem.
He doesn't want to talk to you because he can't answer that question. Like,
Well-
there's no answer to the question you just posed to him.
I've got,
that he
you know
will
what I
have
want?
for
What
you.
I want to do to sit him down and say, look, I got millions of followers, great American entrepreneurs, families, millions of them. You don't have to go on TV and talk about this. Come on my TV. Let's just record an interview together, and I'll post it, and you explain what you're going to do here to attract capital. And I'm the first $1 million check.
You know, there is a affordable housing industry in New York. A friend of mine is a builder of that sort of stuff. It's incredibly complicated. I'm not going to profess any knowledge of it. There is a way to get a VIG out of it. okay, to get some money out of it. And it's incredibly it's tedious. There's a lot of different government agencies you have to.
Not when there's a 0% chance of raising rents against inflation.
But you know, we don't. It's hard for him to raise rates as it. If raise rents as it, I'm not defending him, by the way. He's just going to make it worse. The question is not to add to the system that is already in place now. Is how do you free markets to build stuff? Because there is land there's marshlands in the Bronx. Why can't we build some affordable housing there? Well, there's environmental problems with that. So there's a lot of issues here that Zohran Mamdani literally skips over and says, "I'll just give it to you for free."
Yeah, well, it's also something that we know doesn't work. These policies have been tried before. I'm just going to read.
You know it doesn't work.
Well,
his voters don't know.
Not only do I, but the New York Times editorial board in the 1990s wrote, "Rent control perpetuates the very problems it's designed to fix, a housing shortage."
Yeah.
That was the New York Times. Now, of course, they've gotten all squishy on the subject and forget what the common sense that they had back in the 1990s. But the point is, we have a rental vacancy rate of 1.4%. That means there's very few rental properties available right now. We have to incentivize people like Kevin and people like the folks you know to build more.
But they are incentivizing them to leave. You know, that's what they're doing. Incentivizing them to spend their money elsewhere. Here in California, people are moving to Arizona. I know a lot of people are moving to Florida because it's too expensive and the benefits are just not there. They're just not there, man.
More rental properties, and they're just not going to do it if there's any. Even with the current regulations on rent stabilization, we're going to have problems. But so there has to be more incentivization, not perverse incentives that he wants to add on top of this big cake of regulations.
The strategy of these leftists is to fail up. So he comes in and he's mayor of New York City, and he puts these policies in place. And it takes a period of years for them to really show themselves. And by the time that's happening, he's already moved on to run for governor. And somebody else comes into New York City and has to try to figure out how to make sense of this. He doesn't have answers to your questions. He doesn't look at a 135-pound bar on a bench press and understand the implications of that. There's no way he understands what you're talking about. So he just doesn't answer. And I know, I agree, we understand what rent control does. But I am telling you, the people in the city who love him do not get it.
And by the way,
they do not get it, and they think he's just going to figure it out. Those are their words. He'll figure it out.
Well, remember, rent control, it's rent stabilization. Rent control is a portion of it, is a state law. Okay? It's approved.
How's it working out?
Not very well. And want to hear something really interesting? So Andrew Cuomo, who I personally really like, went after Mamdani on living in a rent-stabilized apartment. We should point out that 50% of all apartments, almost every apartment in New York is some sort of stabilization, except for the very high end, right? And obviously it doesn't affect housing ownership. So he goes after him on rent stabilization, saying, "Oh, you know, you make $150,000 a year as a congressman or assemblyman, and your wife is rich." And you shouldn't be able to live in a place for $2,500 a month. What Cuomo left out is that he took away some of the caps on rent stabilization that would have forced Mamdani to pay what's known as a market rate on that apartment, because Andrew Cuomo took away the cap.
That market rate's probably $7,500.
Yeah, it's probably 70. That's a lot of money. All right, so everyone is not with this guy, right? So we're going to get into some actual New Yorkers and this is probably the minority. I'm just going to keep it real with you. I think he's going to win, that don't want this to happen.
And Zohran Mamdani, we are meeting up at City Hall at 2:30, and we are marching down Broadway to the 9/11 memorial. There's people who've never even been to the 9/11 memorial, so this could be a good time for that. It's a good enough reason, if you ask me. If you're coming, let me know. Let's meet up. Let's hang out.
I'm tired of fuck around and find out politics. I think people have amnesia when it comes to certain political people and parties and who people identify as. I think he's a walking red flag. I think he's smoking mirrors. I think he's very unprepared for what's about to come from, number one, from Trump when it comes to our city. Because you have to think, we're voting him in. He's going to have to deal with everything that Portland, LA, and fucking Chicago are dealing with. It's coming here. It's just slower because he has business deals here, as in Trump. But I don't think this man is prepared for that. I don't think he is the right aggressor. We need somebody who is a complete and utter a-hole to deal with Trump and the ice cream man and what's going to happen.
Talked about this socialistic, chaotic fucking individual, but I think today it's time to talk about him a little bit. So we're going to talk about him. Look, you don't understand the death and peril that these individuals bring, and let me really explain this for you. You see, he comes out there and says that he doesn't like billionaires. He doesn't like people who are wealthy while being wealthy. But he will come out there and say that he does not believe that there needs to be billionaires. And people get excited about that because truthfully what's happening is they're looking in the inside of them and realizing that they didn't work hard enough to become billionaires. And they're most likely never going to become a billionaire, and they don't have the skills to become it. So instead of admitting the fact that some people are just blessed and good for them, you know, good for fucking Amazon giving people the ability to go to school and have an education, good for all these big companies that actually do take care of their employees. Good for them. Instead of saying that, they just get jealous and they're a bunch of fucking haters. But what they don't understand is that if you look at people like Ilhan Omar and you look at where she came from, the chaos, the corruption, the violence, the death, all of those different things, those individuals are bringing that here to America. All right. I'm sorry. I love everybody in America. But if you believe that women are less than men, if you believe that it's okay to put your hands on women because they make mistakes, if you believe that women are not allowed to cover their face, if you believe that you can, you know, marry a fucking 13-year-old or some weird shit like that, if you believe that, then fuck off. All right. I'm sorry.
Mamdani? What? Lord. A lot of people say negative things about America. It's because they're ignorant about the world around them. That is crazy. That is what? 13. Oh my God. I'm going to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Sorry, but you don't fucking belong in government. You should not be in a leadership position. If you believe that your fucking prayer to call music should be played anytime and anywhere all over the fucking United States, I'm sorry, that was some Afghanistan shit and we were fucking rolling around and that shit would come on. It fucking gave me chills. We don't need that here. I tried it out for you, all right? Already did it. Already went to war. And guess what? It wasn't fucking cool.
Free. Guys, this is New York. This is the most desirable city in the world. In a city that is already filled with too many moochers and beggars and couch potatoes. If you can't afford to live there, get out. I deserve to live. You don't deserve to live in the most desirable city in the world. You don't contribute anything but complaints and crime. No, you don't deserve to live there. You want to commit crimes while having people just come and talk you through it and having no consequences? Come to New York. Want to get everything for free even though you contribute nothing to society? Come to New York. I grew up just outside of New York and New Jersey, so this hits home for me a little bit. It's like watching your neighbor drown and there's nothing you can do. I have family and friends that still work in the city. It's become a shithole. It has gone down the drain and now it's going over the edge. People voted for this. This is crazy. You guys don't understand what this means. There's no
voting for people who are blue to come in and destroy the city even more. I mean, I've never done that because I always vote red. The kid across the counter looked at us and he was like, you know, I'm not really into politics, but I'm voting for Zohran Mamdani because he's Muslim. And I just looked him dead in the eyes and I was like, you are literally the problem that we have in this world. Like you are one of many that we have in this world. Mind you, I live in Staten Island. Out of all 5 boroughs, we are the only borough that's actually red. Maybe because we have common sense, but who knows? And I'm telling him and I'm like, what actually do you know about this guy? And he doesn't know anything. He just knows that he's Muslim. So that's enough to vote for someone, which is the exact problem that people made when they voted for Mayor Adams. And now our city is an absolute joke. Why? Because of how Mayor Adams looks. Because they didn't vote for him because of his intelligence. Mayor Adams was out in the strip clubs all the time and it was being broadcasted. Yeah. So they didn't vote.
No, he was not making it rain, bro. He was not making it rain on strippers. The Democrats wouldn't do that. Isn't he a married man?
For for him because of that. They voted for him because of how he looked. So this guy is willing to vote for a man that he knows nothing about just because he's Muslim. So then I started telling him some of the things that he wants to do and implement in New York City. And then he says, oh, I didn't know any of that. And I'm like, of course you didn't. Just like the other people who's voting for him don't know neither. They just want to vote for him because he's pro whatever the hell that these people are ranting about, and he's Muslim. Our education system is so flawed and terrible. Anyway.
Voting for Zohran.
Oh my God. All right, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. He's like, just because he's Muslim? Transparency moment. That's what I did for Barack the first time. I was 18 years old, right? Obviously, my whole family is Democrat, and I voted for Barack Obama because he was black. I didn't know nothing about politics. Freshman year of college, the whole university was like Obama, Obama, Obama. So I can't really say nothing negative about them because I did the same thing. But I feel like this is the thing. I feel as you get older, right? Even with the dudes that are people that are voting for Mamdani, right? As you get older, you start to like mature as an adult. You realize a lot of what the politics say are just they're things that trigger your feelings. They're not actual things that actually matter. You know, like he's gonna freeze the rent. How? How? You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have universal care for children, right? In New York. I don't even know how many people are in New York. How are you gonna do that? How? Like, come on, man. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. But it sounds good, right? He's saying words that you register with. He's using that word free, and it's getting people going. So this is the last clip. He torches this dude. It's crazy.
Mamdani for mayor, and here's why. There is a policy that he has ran on that's been a huge part of his campaign that I see a major glaring red flag. And I want to bring it to your attention. You can decide. I ask that you just listen, at least try to listen without defensiveness, with patience and critical thinking. Just take the time to hear what I have to say. So, you know, the whole concept, the whole proposal about taxing wealthier and whiter neighborhoods. Yeah, that one is not going to work at all. Because unlike the rest of America, or the majority of America, New York is literally the embodiment of intersectionality. Neighborhoods layer each other, they're interknitted, interconnected, and all walks of life live there, including people of different classes. You can walk through a neighborhood and you can see one street has luxury apartments, the next street has houses, the next street has housing projects. And within some of those neighborhoods, you'll also have people living in rent stabilized, you know, pre-war buildings, or even in the newer luxury ones, because they're not building middle income buildings anymore. And the middle income buildings are trying to keep up with the newer luxury properties being built next to them, because there's no differentiation, because they're all on one plot of land, right? So now if you were formerly living in a regular apartment building and now your rent has skyrocketed because next door they built a luxury property, your prices are going to reflect that, right? But same thing with the tax in your neighborhood. The reason why, like, there's no way to cleanly structure this tax and implement it. How are you going to do that? They're not going to go door to door asking everybody to verify their percentage of whiteness with their income. Of course not. That's ridiculous and absurd, and that's racist. What they're going to do is, though, they're going to take from broad data and look at each neighborhood by zip code, look at the median income and the shifting demographics, and apply the tax to that neighborhood. And in fact, Actually, Bloomberg suggested something like this when he was mayor, and everybody turned it down. So I don't know how people forgot, like, something like this was already proposed before and people were against it. And this is the same thing again, except it's framed like reparations. It's framed like, oh, this is like liberation, but it's not. Because now, if you're being taxed and you live in a neighborhood and you can't control the shifting demographics, you've lived there, you're a multi-generational, family, New Yorker, even if you are a transplant, this is still going to affect you. Even if you think, oh, well, I'm making money, I make six figures, I work here, I work there, whatever. I mean, come on. Not every transplant is rich either.
So you heard it from a New Yorker, right? And to tell you the truth, Atlanta is the same way. Like Atlanta, like there would be one street where it's like, professional black people, my uncle lives on the street like that. And then the next street will be projects. He lives like in Old National. So like, it's like, and so what I'm saying is when you go to that Walmart or that Kroger, you can see the demographics, because in that parking lot, there will be a BMW, but then there'll also be like a Honda Civic, and there'll also be like a little, a little bucket, because Atlanta's the same way. Like the rich and they live very close. It's very interconnected. It's not like a whole city of just like everyone it's not like that. But anyway, Mamdani said, if you white and rich, we coming for your bread. That is so racist, bro. That's racist as hell. That's so racist. Oh my God. They just get away with saying all type of racist stuff. But anyway, it's CJ. I'm out.